Yeah, never promise the recording before the event.
Yeah, right? But we programmed the crowd to expect it now.
Yeah, right.
All of our eager followers. So, welcome everybody. I'm Tom Ruich, and that is Dean Isaacs in blue. Well, I guess we're both in blue today, Dean.
It's that got the memo today, I guess, right? Yeah.
And you are at a 5 in 25 training session, 5 planning keys to launch the new year with confidence, clarity, and business building momentum. It's December, and that's planning time. This being a 5 in 25 session means that you're going to get 5 actionable tips and maybe a bonus all in 25 minutes, followed by Q&A. So we're going to dive right in. We're already 4 past the starting point, and all those people, if they straggle in, they'll get to join us for the Q&A and so forth. But we're going to dive right in, try to meet that 25-minute promise, and then we'll have some time until the bottom of the following hour to do some Q&A. I was hoping John Keel would be here because we'll be talking about him, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, let me dive straight in, do the share screen. There we go. So 5 planning keys to launch the new year with confidence, clarity, and business building momentum. And the first one is treat planning as an ongoing process, not a one-time event. What's the day today? I think it is the 15th of December. And so we're late to the game. We should not be simply beginning the planning process, say, oh, it's the second half of December, time to plan for next year. Planning is a forever thing. And so we don't want to belie that fact with the idea that, oh, well, we're doing one of those December planning sessions again. One of the ideas is that at the very least, you should be conducting quarterly triage on your annual plan. What do we mean by that, Dean?
Quarterly triage. So it's really hard to plan and know what you're going to do 12 months from now, right? I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing 12 weeks from now, let alone 12 months from now. And so having that quarterly, 90-day sprint, that 90-day action plan allows you to create momentum, right? And actually taking action. And so a quarterly triage is checking in, right? Making sure that things are working. What roadblocks did you hit? What things do you need to change? And then plan that next 90-day sprint, right? That's part of the ongoing momentum that you need to build in your planning process.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. So many people, if they bother to plan for the year ahead, they write the plan, they stick it on a shelf. Maybe they revisit it at some point, but often not. And then you want to refresh those goals and reset those priorities. That's part of the triage process. If something has changed, if you realize, oh, you know what, this has to be more important than the other thing, it's okay to treat this thing as a living document or a living guidebook and update those plans as necessary. So again, we do this typically in December, but keep going, keep doing it all the time. And really at the end of the year, looking back and reflecting on what happened, how you might, let's see here, how you might, bear with me here. Yeah, we're still in the right place. Sorry. Reflecting on the plan, reviewing the plan against the entire year. That is an effective approach. But the key idea, this is an ongoing thing, not a year-end event. And I mentioned John Keel. John Keel might join us, and if he doesn't, he can hear this in the recording. He's a really good planner, and he has a whole process that he goes through, especially at the end of the year. But he's really one who lives this idea of treating planning as an ongoing process, not an event. So number 2, not sure why we have this yellow line around here, but that's okay. Kind of attracted. Don't pause while you plan. How many of you have been guilty of doing the year-end planning in December and thinking, oh, okay, well, this is planning time, not selling or serving or executing, or, we tend to press pause in December and we take our foot off the gas. I'm guilty of that. I've done it. I try not to do it these days. And what we're talking about, Dean, why don't you take it from here?
Yeah, I think that it's easy to use excuses, right? To stop. This time of year, we're tired. It's been 11 and a half months of grind. It's like, all right, I'm just going to take my foot off the gas because, quote, everybody else does. Well, I'm a big believer, and there are certain times of year where you have an unfair advantage to grow your business. And this last 2 weeks of December is exactly that. It's an unfair advantage time. Mm-hmm. Because, first of all, leaders, if you're in a sales and marketing role and you're trying to talk to leaders, sometimes they've let their team take time off and they're more available, right? Number one. The other is people believe that people aren't online over Christmas or over the holidays. No, they are. RJ and I were just having this conversation. People may not be in business mode, but they're still surfing. So be available, be out there, put your content out there, be more accessible now. And the final thing I think is, if you take your foot off the gas now, it takes time to wind back up in January. Before you know it, it's February 1 and you've got a 11-month year.
Yep. I 100% agree, Dean. And I was in a networking group. This is a private networking group that I sit in on yesterday. And one of the people in the group basically articulated I'm in pause mode. It's December. Nobody buys in December. I'm working on some plans and doing some Christmas shopping and whatever. And one of the women in the group, I just loved it. She said, I'm selling like crazy. I haven't been busier. And it was just such a mic drop moment. And I completely loved it. The guy's face was like, what? And it was just an awesome reminder. She's like, what's this? No, I'm not doing anything right now. She just articulated exactly what you were talking about, Dean. She just is going for it. And it was clear from the way she talked about it. I was like, yeah, I love this time of year because I'm selling when others aren't, and I'm getting people's attention. And
totally.
And again, maybe your clients aren't, or your prospects aren't picking up the phone right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't be getting to that tactical thing or improving a sales funnel or updating a web page. There's a whole lot of tactical stuff, not the planning stuff, but the tactical stuff that can get done this time of year as well. Yeah, don't take your foot off the gas. So on to number 3. We're on schedule, Dean. We're
all right.
Plowing ahead. Number 3. All right. Remember Pareto, the Pareto principle. I forget every time I talk about Pareto, I forget to make a little note. What the heck is that guy's first name? Honestly, who remembers? Some Italian name. The Pareto principle, 80-20. That 80% of your customers come from 20% of or excuse me, I misspoke. 80% of your profit or your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. And 80-20 applies across so many things in your business. And remembering Pareto this time of year is a really important concept, is a really critical thing. And I'm going to let Dean talk a little bit about that and how you apply Pareto principles to the work that you do this time of year and your ongoing planning.
Yeah, and speaking to that first bullet point, ID your top 20 customers, prospects. Where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck? Really, that's what it is. Kimberly, thanks for dropping that name. Awesome. Thanks for dropping the name in the chat. Yep.
Now you have to pronounce it, Dean.
And that's why I just avoided it. I just was like, nope, not even going to try. I'm going to butcher it. I'm not even going to go there. Yeah. But it's an opportunity. Part of, I think, planning and prep and growth is also reflection, right? And looking back at what worked, what didn't work. Big plans don't always play out. And so there's this dynamic. I often ask clients, describe for me your ideal client, right? Not an unusual question. We've all heard it. And they go through this whole dissertation of what they think their ideal client is. And then I say, okay, let's look at your top 10 clients and create some common characteristics around those. So we end up with this sort of ideal client profile based on actual clients. And oftentimes it's not the same as who they think their ideal client is. They say one thing, but they're attracting somebody completely different. And so back to the Pareto principle, lean into, if your top clients are the kind of clients you want more of, that's where your 80% return will come, by leaning into those. So this is the time of year to do that kind of thing. But if you realize that that client profile doesn't fit who you want, they're not the right fit, they're not the right persona, they're not spending the right money, whatever it is, there's retention issues, then you get an opportunity to change. But that's part of focusing on that top 20% of effort and activity. And it's okay to say no to the rest.
Yep. And one of the things that's most powerful about this is that when, especially for those who fall in the trap of doing planning as a year-end event as opposed to an ongoing process, they do the planning in December, holidays end, now it's January, and there's this plan, this big old plan, and it feels huge and daunting, and resolutions become broken promises, in great part because the mountain seems too big to scale. And what this does is it says, look, just focus on these folks, these 10, these 20, these 30. And it is a much more palatable list, a much more achievable hill to climb, not a giant mountain peak. And it keeps you much more focused. So you keep the promises, you pursue, you don't get paralyzed by where do I begin. And it's just, of all the things we're going to tell you today, remember this slide, because it's really a really critical idea. Yeah. Number 4, conduct spring cleaning in, and I'm going to sing. There aren't enough people. The crowd's small enough for me not to be embarrassed. Conduct spring cleaning in winter, spring, summer, and fall. There it is. The idea is get rid of clutter. And I'm so worn out by singing that I'm going to turn it over to Dean.
Well, you're not going to.
What do we mean by this, Dean? Conduct spring cleaning in every season, not just the spring.
And again, it kind of comes back to that 90-day audit or review or triage, right? It's that regular cadence throughout the year. But this bullet point, this one of the 5, sort of it connects to the prior one, the Pareto principle, right? So if you think about customers, for example, your clients, it's okay to release those low-end clients. It's okay. It's okay to let them go. They're probably high touch, high pain in the you-know-what, and they don't necessarily return value at some measure, right? So this is an opportunity to identify those and either let them naturally go through this attrition process or ask them to leave, right? It's okay. That's the time to do it. But then I think it's also an opportunity to look at, we're marketers, right? What marketing activities can you attribute directly to most of your sales, right? It's probably 20% of your activity producing 80% of the results. So what are those other marketing things that we think we need to do because everybody else says we should, that aren't producing results? That's an opportunity to do some spring, winter, summer, fall cleaning. Stop doing that stuff because everybody else says you should. TikTok, is TikTok going to move your business forward? Maybe. I don't know your business, but
you always pick on TikTok.
I do. I love it, right? People react. Or Twitter. Maybe Twitter's a better one right now with all that's going on with old Elon. But nonetheless, just look at all areas of your business, even things like expenses, right? Have you got that subscription to that email marketing thing that you never use, that tool, or that whatever it is? You look at all areas of your business, think in terms of finance, operations, marketing and sales activities, clients. It's just a very freeing activity, right? Give yourself permission to cut loose most of that garbage.
Yep. When was the last time, ask yourself, when was the last time that you went through your credit card bills or your password list or whatever it might be and said, am I using this tool? Is this tool bringing me benefit? Could I live without this tool? Is
Yeah.
there real return on investment? And if you
Yeah.
ask those questions and go through that process on a regular basis, winter, spring, summer, and fall, you will carve out all the unnecessary expenses and the extraneous noise from your business. You'll get rid of the clutter that distracts and that drains your bank account.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I have to echo what you were saying, Dean, about the customers who drag you down. I used to not be able to do this. I used to be afraid to fire prospects, or excuse me, clients, because, you know, I'm just the kind of person who avoids confrontation. I don't, I don't go seek confrontation. And I anticipated that these would be difficult and awful confrontational conversations. And what I've come to learn, because I do this now, is, you know, everybody's relieved when you, in almost every case where you do this, everyone is relieved. And uh and you just have to do it. You have to have confidence in yourself. You have to have confidence in your knowledge that I know who I want to work with and what's best for me, and I know if I'm serving you well. And in both cases, you know, you can have those conversations with your clients. I'm not the best person to serve you here. Now, one thing about that, if you can go to a client you're letting go of and say, here, I have some recommendations of someone you may call, that's best. Now, if the person if you're letting go of them because they're just a heinous person, don't sick them on some other person.
Maybe your
unless it's a
competitor.
unless it's
Know,
a
right?
heinous vendor, I guess. Is sick, you know, that could you know, that maybe that's a strategy. Find all of your heinous clients and sick them on the heinous vendors. Well, that's a seminar for another day, but or a book. We'll write a book about that. So let me check the text. Bill just weighed in. Huge issue for me, cutting subscriptions, not only my subscriptions but my to-do list itself. Yeah. I have such a long list that it's occurred to me to declare to-do list and project list bankruptcy, so to speak. Perhaps apply 80-20 rule. You know, Bill, that's a really interesting point. And in a way, you can do that. Go through the process of really identifying, through that 80-20 approach, what's critical, what do I really need to be doing, and then say everything else is off the list. The rest of the list is bankrupt.
Yeah, I try and look at things through the lens of, is it getting me the desired result, the outcome, right? Yep. Know what the outcome is, and then you can really quickly evaluate that. So I do this with networking groups. You know, pre-COVID, most of my networking was local. Networking groups and business associations and all that stuff. And every year I would sit down and go back through, you know, what did I get from it? Was there an ROI? However I was going to measure that ROI. And then it made it really easy to say yay or nay. And same with all the other activities that we do kind of on a rinse and repeat basis. Just be very conscious of that.
Yep. Great point. So last one, number 5, retrieve the balls you dropped. So this is one that's newest for me in my planning, and something Dean and I were just talking about, this idea that every year you drop balls. There are leads you met at that networking event that seemed really promising at the moment, but for whatever reason, you let them slide. Or there are certain little billing and collection issues that you didn't get to, potential partners and so forth. And those things might even be noted in triage or in your plan, and for whatever reason you didn't get to them. So you know, it goes back to what we were talking about, that the end of year triage. We talked about quarterly triage, but the end of year triage is a little bit different, and it could be December or it could be June if you're doing that July to June fiscal year thing. Dean, talk a little bit about how you go about doing this and how you pick up some of those balls that might have been dropped.
Yeah. I mean, if I put my sales hat on first, right? And we look at sales data all the time, and the number one reason deals get lost is poor follow-up by the salesperson. So whether it's you, the business owner, or you got a dedicated AE, whatever, that is it's not sales skills, it's not overcoming objections, it's not pride, it's poor follow-up. And we're all guilty. And as business owners ourselves, that's one of many hats that we wear. So hopefully you have a CRM, you're tracking your deals and you're tracking your stuff. But I guarantee, this is Pareto again, right? There is revenue on the table that you can pick up before year end just by going back and looking at those things that you didn't follow up on. Maybe they ghosted you for a few weeks and you're like, I'm letting that one go. Go back and have a conversation. And one of the easiest ways to re-engage in a conversation if they went quiet is use this phrase. Is this still a priority for you? That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's all you need to say. Don't say, did you do this? And blah, blah, blah. Is this still a priority for you? Because all you're asking for is a confirmation one way or the other. That's it. You're not asking for a commitment, and that re-engages the conversation. So try that, go back. And it could even be with a potential like strategic partner. You're going to do this big thing together. It just didn't happen. You can ask the same question of them, right? There's money on the table if you go back and just go grab it. Go grab it. And it could roll into a 23 budget conversation. That's cool too. But don't let him go. Don't think just because I haven't talked to this person in a while, it's dead. It's not dead till there's no heartbeat, right?
Exactly. Thank you, Dean. And I hinted at the idea that there's a bonus, and indeed there is. The bonus tip for today is establish a theme for the year. And I want to thank one of my marketing mentors, Dave D, for this. In fact, Dave, just today, this is the first Dean is seeing this, because when Dean and I met, I said, oh, Dean, by the way, Dave is having a webinar today about end of year planning. It was a totally different sort of thing. It was about goal setting and personal goal setting and mindset. But I said, I have a feeling Dave's going to drop a few knowledge bombs, and I'm gonna leave our bonus tip for something that Dave tells us. And this is the one that I really liked from Dave's presentation today. He talked about the idea of establishing a broad theme that you apply to the year and using it as a filter to make judgments about activities and things that you may do. And in his case, his theme is simplify and grow. And actually, that was his theme last year. I don't know what his theme was for the coming year, but he noted the fact that he has a tendency to take a goal, and it's all within the goal setting that he's doing, but then come up with something that's got all these tentacles and all sorts of complexity and so forth. And he established this theme to check himself. And multiple times this past year, he would begin to develop some strategy or tactic or activity and then say, all right, am I simplifying? Is this within the constraints of simplify and grow? No, do it a different way. Don't do it at all. And so for me, my goal, my theme for the coming year is clear the decks, delegate and clear the decks. And so part of what I'm going to be doing around my activities is making sure that within the goals and the broad plan that I have, the activities that I choose and that I focus my energy on are built around either that I'm either in the business of delegating and clearing the decks and getting it off my plate, or I am doing it because I'm 100% essential to achieve whatever the goals and the plans are that I've set. So putting you on the spot now, Dean, because you didn't even know that this was going to be the bonus tip. So
all right, so I on the fly came up with my 23 theme. And
awesome.
honestly, I stole part of it from Dave D and part of it from you.
Awesome.
So mine is delegate and grow. So
Yeah.
that's my theme there. So I mean, it's very similar to simplify and grow, but that's my thing. Delegate and grow.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we started at 4. We started at 34 past the hour. It's 59 past the hour, and I'm bad at math, but I'm not that bad at math. I believe that 59 less 34 equals 25. Ding, 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 ding. We did it. 5 tips plus a bonus in 25 minutes. It is Q&A time in just one moment. But first, for those of you who don't know us, we'd like to just very quickly tell you a tiny bit more about ourselves. Dean, why don't you go first, and then I'll go, and then we will get on to the Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a record-breaking feat for us today. That's awesome. So my business is Vantage Group. B2B professional service providers and firms, consultants of all types, they hire us to really help them identify and remove the revenue roadblocks in their business. So we provide sales and marketing and business growth consulting services and give our clients the tools and the path to grow. And so they can delegate, they can scale, they don't have to work more hours in the day to make more revenue. So that's what we do. And we really align marketing and sales into a simple, cohesive approach that really generates results. So that's what we do. And we work, like I said, with B2B businesses of all kinds across the country.
And what's that fancy schmancy URL I see on the screen?
Yeah, so thank you for that. So go to revenueroadblocksquiz.com right there on the screen. So we've developed a quiz that will allow you to identify those roadblocks in your business. And we provide you a scorecard as a result, and also some recommendations as well, so you can start taking action. So that's our quiz. RJ and I are working on a very similar tool for business owners as well. That's going to be out pretty soon. But right now, the Revenue Roadblocks quiz is available. So go take a look, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Beautiful. Thanks, Dean.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to hear you're working with RJ on something.
Yeah, we've got some fun stuff coming for next year.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm Tom Ruich. I'm in St. Louis, and I am the founder and the CEO of Story Power Marketing. And coaches, consultants, anyone who's packaging their knowledge for sale to serve clients, hire me to power up their creative content and storytelling, because most of them are dishing out the same old boring, blah, blah, possibly robot-powered content.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, everybody's talking about the robot powered content. Everybody's going to the mushy AI middle. Anyway, they're most of them are dishing out the same old boring blah blah content, turning off prospects, and then feeling frustrated and stuck. So I teach them how to transform their content from boring to brilliant, and how to turn the marketing process, particularly the content marketing process, from frustrating to fruitful and fun, and ultimately how to convert the bottom line from pitiful to profitable. My bottom line is that when you create that captivating, entertaining, story-powered content, you'll be the one to stand out above all those people stuck in the AI-powered mushy middle, and you'll be the one that prospects choose to do business with you. So my website there on the screen. Best thing you can do to get to know me is join my mailing list if you're not already on it, or reach out to me. Lots of options when you sign up for my email that I tell you about, as far as how you can dive deeper with me and learn more about how to power up your content and be a storytelling standout. So that said, I'm going to stop the share. Hope everybody has seen. Dean, go ahead and put your URL in the chat. I'll do the same with mine. I'm going to stop the share. And now I'm going to ask you all to chime in with questions if you have them. We're here till the bottom of the hour. Or observations, or corrections, or comments, or, you know, we could sit here and talk about AI if you want to.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's certainly, you know, top of mind for a lot of people is using a tool like this. And I guess we'll see, right, how it plays out. And obviously there's an infinite number of uses for it. But Tom, what do you think about how it's going to affect marketing, like the macro marketing, but also specifically content creation?
Well, so I wrote an email about it yesterday, and the idea that I was getting at is that, number one, AI right now is not good enough to write in your voice. And those who, especially people who are striving to build relationships with clients and whose business relies on their prospects hiring them, they want to be known, liked, trusted in order to be hired. They want to stand out as experts in their field. And the way to do that is to write or communicate on video or whatever channel you choose with greater personality in a more entertaining way, not just the boring blah 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 information only stuff. The bots already are dishing out information only content that's better than 95% of the people who are trying to write that way. Give me a topic, provide 10 tips on said topic, and you can get an AI machine to do that for you in 10 seconds. And it's going to be as good as so much of the boring information only crap that is out there. But they can't write like Tom Ruwitch and be like Tom Ruwitch. They can't present like Bill Mueller and be Bill Mueller, or Troy Broussard or Ben Settle or Laura Belgray or all of these writers who are so effective at putting their personality out there. For now, they will get to a point where they can learn to write in my voice and learn to write in your voice. But the other point that I made yesterday was, you can't teach a computer to write in your voice until you learn to write in your voice, until you establish your voice, until you know what it means to captivate prospects. So, Bill, for you and for me and for all the other people who are in the business of helping teach people how to write in a more captivating and powerful and story centric way, I think we still have a job for a little while. In fact, I think we still have a job for a long while. And so I don't know if I kind of half answered your question, Dean. The other half of the question is that AI is a tool that right this minute today is extraordinarily useful for doing research, for coming up with ideas, for from time to time coming up with a little bit of word play. I was playing this weekend with how effective it is at drumming up similes. Give me a simile for happy, and it came up with great ones. And I had to keep pressing the button, try again, before it dished out a cliche, happy as a clam or whatever. And so, you know, you can use it in so many effective ways, and it can be a really huge time saver. But if you think that you're going to generate gobs of content that's just going to turn audiences into raving fans using a bot to do it, I don't think so. So
yeah. So what I hear is it's a very powerful tool if you're strategic in how you use it, but it's not going to replace a human anytime soon for true content creation, creative, standout content creation.
Yeah, and we have RJ on the line right now, who's very much in the business of programming bots. I mean, it's what she does, but and she can chime in. In order to program the bots, you have to have human beings who are very strategic and very knowledgeable about the journey that their prospects wish to take, and have to be empathetic and understanding. There's a lot of research that precedes the conversation building. And I don't want to steal your thunder, RJ. Weigh in. It's a fascinating conversation.
It is fascinating.
Oops, your mic is not.
My mic not working.
You're breaking up.
It's a little fuzzy.
Oh, crap. Right at that moment that I was going to say something super.
Yeah, you sound like a robot, by the way.
Let me switch my mic.
All right. And Bill, feel free to weigh in. If you're still here.
Yeah, I am here. I thought you put it pretty well, Tom. I don't have too much to add. I'm not worried about it at this point. I do think it's all about personality and story, and I like your take that it could get a lot better and get a lot closer to it. But I played with it, as I wrote in my email. I kind of played with the tool, and just everything coming out was pretty bland. And I loved your idea, by the way. I'm going to use it for that purpose. Give me a simile for happy. I mean, there's so many times when I'm trying to come up with something, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, thanks. And yesterday I wrote hello. At the end of my thing, I was playing with the fact that the world is very much a buzz about this. There are a lot of people who are panicking over this. Go and hang out on Reddit on the copywriting boards, and you'll hear some level-headedness. You'll see a lot of panic, and
Really?
And so I was talking about battening down the hatches and so forth. And so I asked ChatGPT to define batten down the hatches, and then provide 5 tips on how to batten down the hatches. and bland, yes, but pretty darn good. I mean, if I hired some very low cost entry level copywriter and said, here's your assignment, and that's what they turned in, I would have thought, you did the job, kid, way to go. And then I would have spiced it up. So it's a real tool, and it's going to be another, they say by February, version 4 will be out. It's 3.5 right now. Version 4 will be out. It'll be interesting to see what's coming. You can ask it to write in styles. The New York Times the New York Times article about it asked ChatGPT to explain how to remove a peanut butter sandwich from a VCR in the style of the King James Bible. Go look that up. It's brilliant.
Wow.
You can ask it to write in the style of Hemingway or Faulkner, and it'll do a reasonable facsimile. So it's not that far off. But I think the most important point I made was it can't know your voice unless you have a voice. And most people don't really have a voice, and what that means to have an effective voice and be creative and be a good storyteller, and then draw from your own personal stuff. The computer can't do that for you. So anyway, how's your mic?
Is it better
It
Oh,
or
is
yeah.
worse?
Way
Okay.
better.
Well, oh my gosh, just so many things, so many things. It is a great creative tool, Chat GPT. Asking it to write something in the style of a script for the Star Trek, The Next Generation. Not that I've done that several times, but you know, I mean, that kind of stuff can spark so much creativity. The celebration for me is nobody ever has to start from a blank page again. But let me tell you this, and this is absolutely the truth still today. Computers don't have imaginations. You do. Computers are programmed. They do not, and I know artificial intelligence is designed to, you know, like, but they still are only giving you stuff that it's previously been fed. Your imagination, your fire, your nuance is impossible. You know, I mean, I too have generated boring stuff and generated fun stuff. And here's what I know. I said this yesterday, so I'll be boring Tom with this joke, but if you order a pizza and they bring the pizza to your house, you have two choices. You can eat the pepperoni. There's spice, there's flavor, there's a little nuance. Maybe there's drama. Maybe you weren't supposed to get pepperoni on the whole thing. You know, there could be a lot of fun stuff to find in there. Or you can eat the cardboard box. It sort of smells like pizza. It may have a few drips of pizza in there. You will be reminded of pizza, but you're pretty much going to taste cardboard. And that's really the choice. You know, that's really the choice. And, you know, computers cannot imagine. They cannot, at this point that I know of, and I work with a lot of AI stuff, there is no imagination there whatsoever. It is parroting back something that you are, it's parroting back something. And it only knows what it knows. If you invent something tomorrow and you type it in there and say, hey, tell me about this, it won't know anything.
Yep.
Yeah. And
So
we'll
I did
always
have a
know.
note from a guy who is a top SEO guy, who responded to my email yesterday by saying, I have no idea how Google is going to fend this off except with scare tactics. And and I think there's some truth to that, because really in the end, what AI is doing is just processing gobs and gobs and gobs of data in very in very quick and efficient ways, and delivering answers to questions in very consumable ways.
Yes.
And in depth. And so a lot of the searching that is happening right now is, you know, the model is ask Google. Google then sends you to one place. You take a bite of the info from that place, you click the back button, you click to go to the next place, and so forth. And all you're doing is a remarkably inefficient thing, human thing, of processing data one piece at a time until you've collected enough to put together the narrative. And this bypasses that. And that's not to say, you know, there's still plenty of room for you know, searching for a store, but even then, you know, the time is going to come when you're asking the AI engine, all right, give me the best store to get a salad that's both healthy and savory within 10 miles of my house, and explain why. Here are the 10 restaurants. Here's what you should know about the restaurants, so forth. They're doing the same data crunching and analysis that that Google does. Google has secret sauce for sure, but these guys are
Great secret sauce though.
Yeah.
I mean, how long has it been since the basic interface of Google search has changed or gotten better?
well, yeah, and I wouldn't just judge it on the interface. There's stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know, but it's a fair question. Have they been resting on their technical laurels? And a lot of the people who are plugged into what Google does are frustrated with how they make the decisions, and the decisions are it seem to be designed to reward their business model, not necessarily reward the end user. So it's this we futurists and economists like to talk about disruption, and we've heard about Uber, and we've heard about the iPhone, and we've heard about things that are massive disruptions. This is a massive disruption, and we're like sitting in the moment when the world became aware of it.
Yeah.
Boom, right now, 2 weeks ago. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Harvard Business Review, and then the internet went crazy. And it's true. I mean, people have been talking about it for years, but in just these past 10 days, nuclear bomb.
Yep. And it's just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're not talking a thing about planning. Should we talk about
no.
how AI will write our year-end plan next year?
If you want a generic strategic plan, go to the AI, right?
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, to do that for me.
That's funny.
I have a question about planning.
Yes.
All right.
So what's a good way, like how frequently should I check in with this process? Like what's a good weekly or monthly process to kind of keep the ball rolling? I tend to kind of get in the weeds of what I'm doing, and I don't zoom out enough, I think, to really look at the big picture. What's a good process to do that?
I'll jump in. What we didn't talk about, Bill, are sort of the various task management models that are out there. So you have your high level goals, and you're establishing the various metrics that matter, and so on and so forth. And then the question becomes, well, how am I managing on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis what it is I do? And it would take another hour or 2 or 10 to really provide a great answer to that, or to dive into all the possibilities. I guess the way I would answer it is to say, as a corollary to all of this, you implement a tool set to support the journey. And so, for example, EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system. What's the guy's name in the book?
Gino Whitman.
Yeah. That's a really good one that works for small businesses and larger operations. I've created my own sort of customized approach to doing it, reading a book like Getting Things Done by whatever that guy's name is.
Forget.
Books are all
David Allen.
Yeah. So
Robert Allen.
Right. So is it Robert or David? It's Allen. You're right. Sort of looking at the big plan on a quarterly basis, as we were talking about, doing constant triage on it, but then also having some system that you use. I've taken to using my Remarkable, my digital pad, and I have templates built in for daily task management. And I found that the digital task management stuff wasn't working for me. And by doing it within a sheet of paper, 8x11 digital sheet of paper, it forces me to prioritize the micro tasks underneath the the bigger goals. I only allow myself to put things on there that fit in the space.
Yeah.
And you refresh that every day. You wipe the slate clean and start anew each day.
I have a template where I have one each day. And so there's a sheet for each day, and I open the thing. I'll do a session where I walk through this and share it with people.
Yeah.
I'll let you know
Yeah.
when we're doing that, Bill.
And Bill, I take a little different approach. So I mean, we can share some different ideas, right? We've all got our own approach to doing this thing. I think in terms of what are the goals, what are the outcomes I want to achieve for the year, right? Goal setting, we all know goal setting. Then what are those 2 or 3 strategies that we're going to execute to achieve the goals, right? That's the building blocks of planning. But then I take those strategies and I prioritize them. Are they going to be a Q1, Q2, Q3, or an ongoing? And then I build an action plan. And I sort of alluded to it in our presentation earlier, having a 90-day action plan, very detailed. Who's going to do what and when? So I really break that big strategy down into micro chunks, little activities. Smallest activity, the better, because I can measure that activity being done. That gives me an ability to both delegate, but also plan my time to do the work. Right? It's great to have a to-do list, but if you don't have any time to execute it, it's useless. So I take time and I block time on my calendar just to work on the action items on my action plan.
Mhm.
That's it. That's dedicated. Try and be really respectful of those time blocks. And I don't look at it from a daily list like Tom does. I'm looking at more of a week of activities at a time, and I've got time blocked out for that whole week. But I always go back to my single guiding document, which is my 90-day action plan. Right. And then you can use the EOS model. Is it started? Is it on track? Is it off track? Right. That kind of thing. However you want to manage those things. But for me, if I just had a daily to-do list, it's going to be buried under the sticky notes and coffee mugs, right?
Yeah, and I want to clarify, Dean, because we're not talking about things that are actually that different, because
Okay,
I am
good.
starting from strategy, action plans, and so forth, but then on a week-to-week basis. So in this model that I have, the first page is like all the daily pages. So there are things that I'm what am I focusing on regarding my social media? What am I focusing on regarding sales? What am I focusing on regarding, sort of the key strategic initiatives and activities that I've defined as part of the big picture? And so at the beginning of the week, I go and I fill in what are my goals for the week based on that higher level thing. And then on a day-to-day basis, I drop in here's what's going on this day, here's what's going on that day,
Yeah.
here's what's going on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking a very similar process. And the thing I realized, 2 things I realized a long time ago. One is I have to have time blocked out to do those things, right? In addition to all the other stuff we do on a daily basis. So if I don't have those times blocked out, it ain't getting done. And the second is, I'm a visual person. If I don't have something there in front of me that I can look at and add things, to my to-do list or refer to, so if I have to open an app or go find a thing. So I literally, I was telling RJ this recently. I bought one of those 15.6 inch or 14.6 inch screens. It looks like a laptop screen, but it's just the screen. Like on Amazon, and I'm using Notion right now as my sort of like catch-all tool, and that's my Notion screen. And the only thing on that screen, I have 2 or 3 windows of Notion open, and everything's just right there. Mm-hmm. It's all right there for me. So for me, it's less about the technical tool. It's more about having a process that works. You can find a tool, right? We switch tools all the time. But defining the process that works for you, for me, is the really important part of getting stuff done on a regular basis.
Yep, that's good, Dean. I'm gonna have to say that is the last word, because I have a hard stop. We are now at the bottom of the hour. I want to thank you, Kimberly, RJ, Bill, and of course, Dean. Oh, and RJ's Fathom for joining us today. Yeah, RJ's Fathom joined us. So I hope RJ's Fathom enjoyed it as much as I did, and Dean did, and the rest of you did. And
Absolutely.
we'll notify you when the recording is available. And I thank you for participating today.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
guys. This was great.
See you next time.
Thanks. So long.
Bye.